now. First of all, in Alpha 1.1.0, according to the wiki, there was some bug which allowed the player to force the camera's movement inside walls. This would lead Notch to re-upload it 3 days later. Now, I have no idea what this means. I think the wiki is referring to some sort of third-person wallhack exploit, which you can do on modern versions still, but I have no idea how to replicate that in this version, so let me know in the comments if you have any more info. You can, however, exploit a similar bug with sand or gravel, giving you X-ray. Alpha 1.1.1 is a pretty famous Minecraft version, as it had a unique game-breaking bug where the code of the game would set the display's gamma and contrast values to 0, resulting in the screen turning into a big subscribe button, which players at the time could press to subscribe to up-and-coming YouTuber the Mr. Epic 10 years in advance. No pressure, of course. Anyways, this bug caused the screen to turn completely grey, and as such, this version of the game was only available for roughly 3.5 hours before Notch would release 1.1.2 to fix it. In Alpha 1.1.2 version 1, you could actually hold items in your inventory crafting slots like so, giving you some additional inventory space. Stairs also looked very weird in this version, and if you placed a block on top of them, would convert them into a full block. In this version, you could also sometimes break blocks like torches if you lined it up correctly with the pause menu and then left-clicked to resume game. Since you could not interact with the top half of doors for some reason, you could place blocks through them like so, as well as hit mobs and entities. You could also get half doors by placing them next to cacti, which is odd. And speaking of odd, check out the cursed Minecraft-esque bugs in the game's GUIs, which for some reason rendered behind like so in Alpha 1.1.2 version 1. And if you wanted to be able to move while your inventory was open again, like in the bug showcased earlier in this video, you could do so by clicking W and A or D at the same time as opening your inventory, which would occasionally cause you to continuously walk in that direction while your inventory was open and even when it was closed. In Alpha 1.2.0, a bug was fixed where items such as furnaces and stairs would not face the same direction as the player when placed. Interestingly, chests, which also had this issue, would still not place the right direction well into beta. In Alpha 1.2.0 version 1, the famous player hurt ooh sound did not work at all. In that same version, when a player died, their items would also disappear. Placing signs on cacti used to outright crash the game, which was patched in Alpha 1.2.1. If you wanted to ear rape players on multiplayer, Alpha 1.2.1 version 1 was the version for you, as in this version, the ooh sound effect would play every game tick of taking damage, roughly 20 times per second, and this worked for not only players, but mobs as well. This was fixed in Alpha 1.2.2, which also fixed the bug that plagued almost all of Alpha, whereby the Minecraft options and main title screen GUI would bug out when you resized the game. In Alpha 1.2.3 version 4, if you held sneak and moved around for a couple seconds, then unsneaked, it would play all the sounds that were meant to be silenced during the sneak in rapid succession. Arrows also would not deal damage and would bug out when shot into a mob or player. And when shot into the ground or walls, they would also create an infinite arrow source, which if you stood next to, would rapidly fill up your inventory until it was full. Pretty funny stuff. You could also type /home in this version of the game on multiplayer servers to teleport to spawn, which was removed a couple days later. Furthermore, creepers up to this version did not have a proper animation upon blowing up, sort of just exploding right in your face when they got too close. This was fixed in Alpha 1.2.3 version 5, but unfortunately due to Notch leaving code in the game, also would be a version which only spawned creepers, no other mobs, which was promptly fixed one update later. A very unique bug in the last two alpha versions, 1.2.5 and 1.2.6, is if the player's name is not set properly, which always occurs now when you use the default Minecraft launcher to play these versions, the player gets named Player524, and since everybody gets named this, it's impossible to play multiplayer in these versions. Fortunately, third-party launchers and tools have corrected this, allowing for servers to still run and play the final versions of Alpha. And speaking of the last version of Alpha, Alpha 1.2.6, this version fixed the bug where the item was used when interacting with an interactable block, which would lead to some interesting moments if you happen to be holding a lava bucket.